Now, hopefully, this is the last double review of the season. Now, I don't like to date these or really talk about anything happening outside of the games themselves, but as I've mentioned, between personal issues and a ton of Xbox Live Service issues, it's been a rough week to say the least. But we're getting back on track, and as I've said, if there was ever a season to have to do double reviews or even a triple review, this is the one, because this team is just so damn inconsistent, and it just doesn't feel right to freak out over one game, for example, the LA 9-2 massacre, because the very next game, the team turns it around. The Bruins aren't the Maple Leafs, and while the Bruins fan base has had a pretty tough time over the years, a lot of us will really struggle to relate to the misery that particular fan base has suffered through. Hell, we can't even relate really to Vancouver. People thought that Chiarelli and the Bruins management drove this team into the ground due to overextending for a cup run. Look what's happened to that team and those fans. I'm not taking shots. I hold no ill will towards that fan base. I genuinely feel sorry for them. But all of that aside, let's talk about the Bruins and the past two games. Game 1, a rematch against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The last matchup in Columbus, a typical game against a Tortorella-coached team. His teams can simply shut you down, turtle up, and can make every shot attempt, just an attempt, come at an extreme cost. In this game, the complete opposite. And again, that speaks to the inconsistencies that we have seen this season. Perhaps the only consistency we have seen this year is the Bruins' home struggles, which, as you surely know by now, isn't exactly consistent either, as they beat Pittsburgh. 27-3 on the road this season, but counting the Pittsburgh game, just 13, 15-3 at home. Simply not good enough. They are 3-3-1 in their last 7 home games, yet you just finished a 6-game stretch at 4-2. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The Bruins lose 6-4 to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and regardless of how you view it, a playoff team can't lose this game. Sure, as I've said, every team is dangerous this year. There isn't a punching bag. Case in point, the Jackets moved to 5-1-1 in their past 7 road games with this win, although they themselves have had scoring issues in February. Bottom line, you need to win and you need to get these valuable points. You've been battling going from second in the Atlantic to wildcard spots, and you haven't been able to find the consistency to overtake Florida for first. Why? Because you lose games like this. Gustafsson in net, and while I've praised him for the most part this season, this was a game to forget and probably his worst in a Bruins uniform. Obviously, it's not completely his fault. He still made 29 saves, but a lot of rubber got passed, and there was a lot of post hits, a lot of crossbar hits for Columbus, and flat out the special teams games for both teams proved to be a big factor, with Columbus being 2 for 3 on the power play and a perfect 2 for 2 on the kill. The Bruins at the beginning of this season nearly lived and died with the power play, and of course since the All-Star break, it's been more similar to the power play of old. And in that same time, the PK was similar to years of old for the most part, but now obviously in this game, and the past couple of games, it's been a little bit rough. Quickly though, I'll breeze over the most important part of this review, and that would be the game itself. Boone Jenner starts the scoring on the power play. Surprisingly, his 20th goal of the year. Not too shabby, but on the flip side, 15 seconds later, Krug with the shot from the point is tipped in by Eriksson for his 22nd of the year. Good things happen when Krug hits the net. He gets his 24th assist of the year, and hopefully that can continue to keep critics off of his back. Again, it's quite obvious what's gone on with Krug having more defensive responsibility, but that is a discussion for another time, as in the second period, Jenner gets his 21st of the year, 21 seconds into the second period. A laser beam of a wrister from the slot puts Columbus up 2-1. But again, the lead wouldn't last for long. 2.5 minutes later, Matt Bolesky gets his 10th of the year, deflecting a Joe Morrow shot from the point. It's always nice to see him get on the scoreboard, but again, the Jackets would control the latter half of the second period and all but seal up this game. Terrible turnovers in the defensive zone, and good old Wild Bill Karlsson, William Karlsson, throws one on net that a Pee-wee goalie wishes he could have back. That was his 8th goal of the year, and the Jackets wouldn't trail from this point on. Scott Hartnell would add a power play goal, deflecting a Ryan Murray shot from the point for his 19th goal of the year, putting Columbus up 4-2. And again, the Bruins could never tie up the game. One goal is as close as they would get. Bolesky would continue to be a force in the third period, getting his 11th goal of the season on a tip-in. Columbus, though, would always answer back. Brendan Saad would get his 22nd of the year, albeit on a controversial play that saw Scott Hartnell being Scott Hartnell and Seidenberg flopping around on the ice. Eriksson would get his 23rd of the year with an empty net behind him, only for Dalton Prout to get his 2nd of the year on a full-length empty net goal. So again, this game, very few bright spots, but the bright spots itself, the offense was rolling. Great nights for Bolesky and Louis, but the defense is once again the weak point. But now here comes the inconsistency again. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh game. Tuukka Rask back in net makes a season-high 41 saves. Brad Marchand returns to the scoreboard. Landon Ferraro has arguably his best game as a Bruin, and David Pastrnak, probably his best game of the season. Despite being outshot 42-29, the Bruins made the best of their chances. Did Tuukka Rask steal this game? Yes, he did, but that's his job. Does that eliminate the concerns that most of us have with this team? Of course not, but games like this is where you really need your goalie to step up, and he did just that. It was a rough start, and that's the way it usually goes. It's either a rough start or a red-hot start that cools off to an absolute extreme. The tides turned at the end of the first period here, though. Adam McQuaid with a solid defensive play. Krejci hits Pasta with a lob pass, and Pasta earns the penalty shot. Snipes a 5-hole pass flurry for his 7th goal of the year, 1-0 Boston. And Pastrnak wouldn't be done. He would add his 2nd of the game, another unassisted effort after a brutal play by Olli Maatta, who was unable to handle a pass from Crystal Tang. 2-0 Boston at that point. Tom Kuhnhackl, what a name that is, would score his 2nd of the year after a strong net drive and a terrible rebound from Rask just under a minute later. Third period, though, all Boston. McQuaid to Spooner to Hayes. An amazing display from Ryan Spooner with his speed and puck control. People can criticize him if they want, but the offensive skill set is there. We all know it's been there, and the defense is coming along, and I am more than happy to have him as our third-line center. And for Jimmy Hayes as well, his 13th goal of the year. Landon Ferraro would score on a breakaway after a little bit of puck luck, and my God, what a shit night for Olli Maatta, the poor bastard. Ferraro getting his 4th goal of the year. Not a bad night at all after getting the better of a scrap in the 2nd period against Scott Wilson. Not bad at all for a waiver pickup. The Bruins would seal this game up with another Krug shot on goal that's picked up by Marchand in front for his 31st of the year. 5-1 final, and the Bruins sweep the 3-game regular season series. So what did we learn? Absolutely nothing. The consistency issues or lack thereof remains, the defensive issues continue, and the future of Louis Eriksson still looms over this team. Thankfully, though, we will have an answer very soon, and I'm tacking this on to the end of the video, which was ready to go, was uploaded, just ready to be made public, only for the news to break. Andrew Ladd traded to Chicago, which is just absolutely wonderful. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. This only raises Louis' value if the Bruins choose to trade him. They have made an offer. No word yet on what's happening, but better yet, if he is traded, he's most likely to go west, potentially back to Dallas, maybe to California. LA, Anaheim, San Jose are all teams that now need to pick up their game to compete with the Blackhawks. And guys, that'll do it for this double recap. Again, I fucking hate doing these, and I really hate not being able to get these episodes up on time, but potentially better late than never, at least in my case. As always, if you've enjoyed, make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe for more recaps after every game within at least 3 days after the game. Hopefully not. Hopefully I can get back here to, dropping the recap the day after. And of course, spread the word, and I will see you all next time after the Carolina game.